Hi guys, it's Michelle from Scrap Secrets and welcome to another Sketch Sunday video. So this week's sketch comes to us from MFT. It's sketch number 427 and you can see I drew it out here. It's a very, very rough sketch. So if you want to see what the actual sketch looks like, head over to their blog. And then I also wanted to do the color challenge for this week because often I have a hard time figuring out what colors I want to use, or I tend to use the same colors over and over again. So to challenge myself, in addition to the actual sketch challenge, I decided to use the 4 colors that are the current colors for MFT's color challenge. They are Tropical Teal, Wild Wisteria, Primitive Cream, and Sour Apple. So the Primitive Cream I wasn't worried about because I was going to use that as like a white card base, and that's pretty much what it is. At least on my screen it looked white to me. So the only ink that I had that was the same was Wild Wisteria. So I went through my list and I picked out colors that looked similar to that in other brands or MFT brand that was closer to what the actual color was that's on the color challenge, if that makes sense. So I just want to show you guys real quick because I thought I was going to use dye and hybrid inks, and then I decided to use Oxide inks. So I wanted to show you the color that I picked in the dye/hybrid ink and then show you the Distress Oxide to show you that you don't have to have the exact colors to still make it work for a color challenge. So the first one would be Tropical Teal, and since I didn't have that in the dye and hybrid inks, I picked Simon Says Stamp Audrey Blue, and in Oxides I picked Peacock Feathers. So we have those. Then I did have Wild Wisteria from MFT, but for the Distress Oxide I picked Shaded Lilac, and I know that I didn't swatch that out. I have a lot more that I still have to swatch out because I got a bunch of new Distress Oxides, and actually probably I think some Distress inks and regular inks too that need to be swatched out, but these are very similar in color. And then the last one was Sour Apple, which I didn't have, so I picked MFT's Limeade, which was the closest thing to Sour Apple that I had, and then I picked Twisted Citron Distress Oxide. Now, if you look at these, yes, they are a little bit further apart, but that blends nicely with these 2 other colors. So I thought that that would be a great representation for the Sour Apple. And then I just went through my cardstock and picked some cardstock that would go along with this. So I don't know what these are. These were just random scraps that were in my scrap drawer. If you guys saw the scrap challenge that I set out for myself for this year, I decided that I was going to try to use up as much of my scraps as possible. So I just pulled out a piece. This is 4 by 5 1/4. This is 3 3/4 by 5, and then this piece is actually from a die that was from that, I believe it was from the fireplace die set that was around Christmas a couple years ago. I've used it in several of my videos and I don't remember what it looks like, or don't remember the name. I apologize for that. But if you go on, I think it might actually be retired now. So it's just, you can use any type of banner. So this is going to be the banner piece. So we might have to cut it down. I'm not really sure. But the actual sentiment that we're going to use, which says bring on the balloons, is actually going to fit very nicely in here. So the technique that I wanted to do is using 2 stencils. I have so many stencils and I don't use them a whole lot. So I kind of tested it out on this scrap piece of paper. So the first thing that I did was, because there's 2 different ways you can do this. So the first one that I did was I laid this Harlequin stamp. This is the Harlequin stencil from MFT. I laid this down, and then right over top of it I laid the balloon, and then I used some Distress ink and inked that up. However, when I took everything off, it just looked kind of more like this because there was no real shape to it. You couldn't tell it was a balloon. So I took what was too thick of a marker, which is why I'm glad that I did the test one, and this was a Prismacolor marker. It's the chiseled tip. So let me show you. So this is the one that I used. It was definitely too thick of a line. So if I decide to do this again, I'm going to use the Prismacolor 005 marker, which has a super thin tip to it. So you can do that and ink that up. But I think what I wanted to do was actually lay the balloon down first. So what I kind of did here, I didn't actually lay the balloon down, but what I want to do is use Distress Oxide and do a base layer, and then actually go back over this, do the same thing. So do a 2-step process, and then go back and put the Harlequin stamp or stencil down, and then use the other Distress Oxide and Peacock feathers and go over that. So I think that's what we're going to do for that. We're going to see how that actually comes out and see if we need to outline it. And since the background is purple, I don't know how it's actually going to come out. So I know that I've taken like 5 minutes to explain this stuff to you, but it's going to be a fairly simple card to do. So I don't think we should take too long. I'm actually going to use the removable adhesive. Just put a couple pieces on the back of this so this sticks down onto my work surface. I am working on a craft mat. It actually is not going to stick to this because it is the craft mat, but that's okay. So we're going to be using this balloon up here and the big balloons, and then since it looks like it's off to the side here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mask this entire piece off so that I don't get ink anywhere but where I want it, because I am a very, very messy, inky stamper and stenciler. So you can mask the entire thing off, but I think this is okay. I think this should probably just give me borders to work within. So while I'm doing this, I do apologize for the lighting here. This is late at night, and I am ordering a stand, so from Amazon, hopefully this weekend, and hopefully that will help with the, with the overhead shooting and things like that. I've seen it on a couple other people's Instagrams, and they all seem to really like it. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start off the paper a little bit and just kind of work our way in. You kind of want to go in from the sides. You can actually tilt it up and go in from the sides, and that way you get a darker image on the outside, and then the inside has a little bit a lighter color. That way it gives it a little bit more shading to the balloon, and it gives it a little bit more of a rounded shape when you do that. We are going to be going in with a pattern on it too, and then there's also highlight pieces on here. I'll show you that in a second. So we could go back in and do that. So we're gonna need to keep this on. So there we go. So there's the balloon there. Sorry about the terrible, terrible lighting. I swear it's going to get better than this. We're going to, I'm going to figure out this camera situation. I'm pretty sure that I am going to buy that, the camera stand that everybody's been raving about. So I just want to make sure that the pattern is lined up in a way that the balloon gets some nice coverage. So I'm not sure if we're going to actually use the shaded lilac. First, let me just take my microfiber cloth if I can find it, and just wipe this down real quick. Not that I'm really worried about cross-contaminating because this is a lighter color. If I was doing a darker to a light color, I would worry about it, but just want to clean it off fairly quickly. So this is a way that you can use your 2 stencils. All right, let's just line this up. Is this the way I did it before? I'm trying to think if I did this down here first, and then I think this was it. I think this is the way that I did it. Okay. So now we're only going to need to do this middle piece, the Harlequin piece that's in the middle of the balloon. So I'm going to ink up my Distress Oxide foam. I'm just going to hold it into place just to try to push the color into the diamond shapes. Trying to get that little piece over there. Trying to make sure all of the the diamonds got covered. Okay, so let's lift it up. Oh, that looks pretty cool. So there it is there. So I think that that has a really nice shape to it. So as opposed to this one that needed the outline, I don't think this one does because of the way that we did it. So the next thing that I want to do is I wanted to stamp the string on the balloon, because in the actual picture, that's the way it is. So now we can see, since we're not using the back of this, let's just see what. So I normally wouldn't stamp with, Distress inks. Distress Oxides are a different story. That shows up pretty nicely on there. So I think what we're gonna do, a purple string, just to add a little bit more purple into it. So there you go. So there's that balloon. So I think that came out nicely. And this string is from the, I think it's Lots of Balloons stamp set from MFT. This one here, bundle of balloons. So it's just the straight one that I used. So I have a couple pieces out from that. And then the sentiment comes to us from the Safari Party. It says, "Bring on the balloons." So I also think that I want to stamp that in the lilac, because I think that would look nice. So we're going to, the shaded lilac, we're going to bring that back out. And again, I would not normally stamp with the Distress inks, but the Distress Oxides are different. They do tend to give a really nice result. And hopefully this stamps well the first time. There you go. Oh, wow. You can see, let me just show you guys. It stays wet for a little bit, but look at that. Bring on the balloons. That stamped so nicely, so much nicer than if you used, I'm telling you, if you use Distress Oxides or Distress inks. If you've ever tried to stamp with Distress inks, you'll know that everything comes up really splotchy and the ink kind of beads up on it. But the Distress Oxides, they can be used to stamp. So that's a difference. If you're doing the color challenge, you can add black and white and tan, and so neutral colors are allowed to be added to that. So, and that's okay when you do that. So this piece, and I don't know if I've told you the actual dimensions first. So the purple piece is 3 3/4 by 5, and then the tealish piece is 4 by 5 1/4. Now I'm going to take some, this is really, really flimsy paper, but you can see there's a white core to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Peacock Feathers Distress Oxide and go around the edges just to try to get rid of that. It makes the card look a little bit more finished. So I'm just going to go around all the edges. And then I'm also going to do the same thing with the shaded lilac. And this already has Distress Oxide on it. You can go back in and add more, but I think it looks nice. Again, this doesn't really have a white core to it, but I think it gives it just a little bit of shading, and it adds just a little bit of dimension on here. So this card, like I said, is going to be very, very simple. There's going to be it's going to be a very simple and clean card, which, let me tell you, that it doesn't sound like that would be difficult. It sounds like those would be easier cards. For me, I don't know what it is, but I have a hard time leaving this card as just this. I'm like, what else can I add? Can I add a background to it? Can I add confetti? Can I add streamers? What else can I add? Can I add glitter? I have to give it up. I have to just kind of let it go and say, this is enough. This is exactly what the card is calling for. So I do have a difficult time with that. Does anybody else feel like the clean and simple cards are the harder ones? And then we're just going to put this straight across. Bring on the balloons. And then I'm going to take the card base that I had. I think I had 2 of them around here. And then I'm just going to, on here you can see the Distress Oxide on the back of my card, so you know that we lined, you can see that. around the edges that we lined it. Let's just make sure the card opens the right way, because I've done that several times where I've put it on upside down, and that stinks. It's a waste of a card base. Okay, so that's it. That's our very simplistic card, and again, like I said, I'm having a hard time with just leaving it like this. I am, but that's what the design calls for, nice, clean, and simple. So before I go, I just wanted to let you guys know something. This is probably one of the last crafty videos that you're going to see from me for a while. I am redoing the craft room, like I've said a million times in a bunch of other videos, but I ordered the brand new floor for the craft room, which is so exciting. It is luxury vinyl tile, which sounds a lot fancier than it is. It's basically an engineered tile, I guess, that's really, really nice. I have that on the 3rd floor of my house, and it's super durable. We have engineered flooring in the front of the house when you first walk into the house, and I didn't want to try to make it look like I matched that, so we wanted to do something that was similar but not too, like, if it didn't match perfectly, it wasn't going to look terrible. Like, I tried to match it and I just couldn't. So that should be done in the next couple of weeks. So that means that I have to clear out this entire craft room, and if you saw the last couple of videos, I don't know where everything is going. So wish me luck that I'm going to start cleaning out things after I upload this video. I'm actually going to start cleaning out the craft room tonight, and most likely that means I'm going to Marie Kondo this place, which is going to be a task unto itself. But anyway, that's the plan for this room. So there may be a couple of small videos here and there, but I probably will be quiet for a while, probably for maybe like a month or two, and then I will come back once the room is done. We're going to go to IKEA. I have a couple of pieces of furniture that I want to get, and then I'm going to be redoing this. So it's going to be a little while before you're going to see the actual craft room come together. So I think that's what I want to do before I start doing videos, and then I will show you guys the new organization, all the new stuff that I've bought, and the new floor, which I'm super excited about. Hopefully the stand will be here, so you will get a better overhead shot of it, and the light will be better. You won't get all these shadows in here. This is all from, like these shadows here are all from the stand that I have the phone on right now. So I apologize for the horrible lighting in the video. It will get better. I'm working on it. It's just me. I do this as a part-time thing, so I hope that you enjoy the videos and that you can excuse the terrible lighting, because a lot of times I have to do these videos late at night because of my day job. So my day job is turning into a day and night job, unfortunately. But anyway, hope that you guys enjoyed this video and that you learned how to use 2 stencils in one pattern and one solid shaped one. And I can't wait to see what you guys make with it. If you make anything, tag me, scrapsecrets1120 on Instagram, and go over and check out my Instagram account and follow me. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed to the YouTube channel. And I'll see you guys real soon with another, hopefully real soon with another video. Bye!